Honest signalling in animals is defined as when both the sender and receiver have the same interest in the result, particularly in mating. In mating, animals can use costly signalling to attract the opposite sex, which is when the signal causes a disadvantage to the sender. One example of costly, honest signalling is in the peacock. The males will typically display their bright tails to females when looking for a mate. Females are typically more attracted to males with brighter or larger feather displays, which is an example of sexual selection in this species, as stronger males have more energy to produce larger and more colourful feathers. A 2005 study by Loyal et al. Looked into how sexual advertisements in peacocks may reflect their health status. The study found that a high display rate in males correlated with good health.
Dishonest signalling is when deceitful information is conveyed from signaller to receiver. In the context of sexual signalling, this will be to convey that an individual's desirable qualities are better than they really are, whether these are physical or behavioural. Within the animal kingdom, fiddler crabs provide a classic example of this type of signalling. Males use their largest claw to compete between themselves for mating rights and territory, and it isn't unusual for these claws to be lost. When these claws grow back, they are weaker and less dense, irrespective of how large they are. Waving displays are used to attract females, and attractiveness will be based on several components, one being claw length. To females, a male fiddler crab with a large claw may appear more attractive despite the fact that it could be less dense and far less powerful than the smaller claws of the other crabs. This dishonest signal benefits the male, who gains the mate, which he may not have gained if his signalling had been entirely honest. Sexual signalling can also lead to other forms of manipulative behaviour. In some species, such as field crickets, males who are less attractive may adopt a satellite strategy. These so-called satellite males will place themselves near males who are calling and try to intercept females approaching the other male. In a similar manner, flash responses in female fireflies of the genus Photinus to attract males will be mimicked by Photurus fireflies, with the aim of attracting and then eating those who will come to find the signaller.
Honest human sexual signaling. Human sexual signaling is not as dramatic as that of the peacock or fiddler crabs, but evolutionary psychology suggests that appearance itself is an honest signal. In case of women, it was found that women with more symmetrical features, low waist-to-hip ratio, and youthfulness were thought to be attractive. Evolutionary, this makes sense. Low waist-to-hip ratio is indicative of higher levels of circulating estrogen. Both estrogen, a sign of female health and fertility. In case of males, prominent features, taller males and more muscular males were considered to be attractive. Their social reputation was also important in the selection of a mate. Human sexual signaling comprises mainly of talking, flirting, or dancing in social situations. Complexity arises in that human communication is prone to deceit, which makes one question how honest signaling is. A study showed that costs are paid by the dishonest. Humans are able to assess individual reputation and hence hold the threat of social exclusion against those who signal unreliably.
Genes that influence a female's choosiness tend to confer genes that influence a male's showiness. Breeding show-off sons and picky daughters is adaptive because evolution depends on attracting a mate. Therefore, males will strive to reproduce offspring that are most desirable to the opposite sex. A theory first proposed by Ronald Fisher at UCL in the 1930s outlines this evolutionary dynamic. Dishonest signals may convey information that seems to increase the fitness of the receiver, but actually undermines signalling within the whole population in order to propagate the individual's own genes. Humans are able to affect others' perception because of how they present themselves in courting environments, like nightclubs. These subtle enhancements allow humans to maximize mating opportunities even if the information they convey isn't entirely honest.